So, since I haven't been on for a while and it's approaching New Year's, just a couple more days here, I figured a very appropriate topic would be New Year's resolutions. Now, of course, a very traditional view on this, there's some debate, some of it serious, some of it not so serious, on whether or not New Year's resolutions are a good thing. And the traditional view, of course, is that they are. It's a brand new year, feels like a fresh start. You get another chance, another stab at being the kind of person you wanted to be. Even a lot of companies, of course, have the annual performance reviews, not necessarily on New Year's Day, of course, but the whole idea of 365 days have passed. Let's look at how it went. Let's look at how we want it to go. And it's just kind of something that you get a lot of camaraderie about too, because a lot of people are really into New Year's resolutions. On the other side, of course, there are people who have a lot of empirical data to back them up that very, 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 very few people stick to their New Year's resolutions. I believe the statistic that I can recall, and you might be able to tell, I'm looking off the side of my screen at it, is that about 20% of people make it to February with their New Year's resolutions still intact. And by the end of the year, about 8%. So we're talking about 1 in 12, 1 in 13 people have actually stuck to one or more of their resolutions. Not a great track record. And in fact, this is starting to change. A lot of Fortune 500 companies are doing away with annual performance reviews and instead replacing them with something more frequent, which is more the boat that I'm in. So, according to people on this side, we engage in New Year's resolutions because it feels good, not because it's actually effective, not because it works. And I'm inclined to agree. But given that, just like almost anything else in life, there is, I believe, a middle ground that I think can work. And what it is for me is I don't really do New Year's resolutions. I do what I call New Year's revisions. So my plans or my goals are always there. They're in the forefront of my mind. They're written out explicitly. And I use New Year's Day as one day among other days to periodically look and say, how is this going? So what have I done? For me, I do it every 3 months. So what have I done in the past 3 months to get me closer to these goals? What could I be doing better? If there are certain things I'm not doing, why am I not doing them? If there are certain things that are working well, is there any way to improve upon them, or do I just want to keep at them the way I had been going? So the key to this too for me is that I think a lot of people pile on just a shit ton of stuff, because a year feels like a long time, 365 days, who knows how many hours. I don't have the number off the top of my head. It feels like a long time. It feels like I should be able to get a lot done in that time. But although he's not necessarily a guru to look up to in terms of self-improvement, Bill Gates did say something I think that is, although anecdotally kind of interesting, that people tend to overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And so that's the key, is to start small. Start so small that it feels, the notion that you couldn't do it just feels ridiculous. So you pick one thing on New Year's Day and you say, this is the thing I'm going to focus on for maybe the next year, but maybe if you're like me, the next 2 or 3 months until I look over my goals again. So block some time out on New Year's Day, particularly if you have the day off. Get out a journal, look in the mirror, close your eyes, use your imagination, whatever you need to do, and figure out what is the one thing that you need to do. And here's another key component, not this year. So, I need to buy a new car. Okay, that's very limited in scope, because once that's accomplished, it's like, where do I go from here? But instead, think of one thing you need to do that you can start this year, but you need to do it for the rest of your life. So I'm talking more things like get in shape, pursue further education, be a good person, be a good husband, a good father, a good friend, whatever it is. And just decide you're going to nail that this year. That's going to be the thing that you're going to go all in on. And if you can do this, not only will you be part of that 8% that I mentioned earlier, the very few people who can stick with it, because you've just picked one thing. I mean, anyone can do one thing to improve their life. But you'll never need to worry about resolutions again, because this method is essentially foolproof. So, by periodically, gradually, really honing in on one thing that's going to have a massive impact, not just when you start, but 10 years down the line, you will be getting closer and closer, inch by inch, to living out your values and really realizing your vision. So with that, Happy New Year, and let's make it one of crushing just one thing at a time. Have some patience.